Hey guys, welcome back to Jimmy Riggs. It's been a long time since I posted a video, but my friends have been asking me, hey, you're gonna put one back out? People have been calling me, when are you gonna put another video out? So I'm gonna try to get back into it. Been super crazy, had a lot of projects I did this year. Didn't really have time to record them because of how busy I was. So we're gonna try to get back into it and see if we can stay with it this time and see how it goes. So please, what helps me to know that you guys are liking this is if you like, comment, and then get people to subscribe so I can get enough viewers. That would be great. I'm up to like almost 300. But if you can, I'd really appreciate it. So if you can see here behind me, I have my Harley. That's what we're working on today. I've got it all tore apart. I'll kind of give you some background, what happened to it, and how hard it is to find parts for this. About a couple months ago, it was running great, cleaned it up, took it for a ride, went down this dirt road and ran great all the way down dirt road, stopped, parked at the camp that we were at, visited, got back on the bike to go take off. And I noticed when I started it, like it's revving super high. Like, why isn't it kicking down? It's fuel injected, so it doesn't have a choke on it, so it should have kicked down. Usually it'll rev for a couple seconds when it first starts, and then it drops down. And damn, like what the heck? And then it started misfiring. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? So I just detailed it, so I thought maybe something was wet with it, and I got something wet on the plug or wire or something. Who knew, So I kind of messed with the wires a little bit, thinking that was it. Turned it back on, drove it home, throttling up. It was running good, but when you kind of let off, it kind of popped and spit and sputtered. So I thought, man, what the heck? So I got home. The plugs looked kind of corroded, so I went and got some new plugs and was talking to the guy down at the Harley shop, the parts guy, and was telling him, I said, I think maybe I need a new coil. Maybe my coil's misfiring. My plug wires, I know I probably need to replace. I'll put some new plug wires on it. So I kind of went to look at that, and he says, well, I can't find you a coil anywhere. There's one coil. That's a Harley coil that's for this bike. And just the background, about what this bike is. It's a 2002 Harley Davidson CVO. It's a custom vehicle operation bike. That's what CVO stands for those of you who don't understand what Harleys do and what they make. And this is a Screaming Eagle edition. There was I think 1,100 made that I can research. It's a Road King, so that's the model of it. And then Screaming Eagle put their attachments on it and put their things for the motor and stuff like that. So it's a great bike. I love it. It's 1,550 is a number on the engine. I'm not really sure the horsepower and stuff like that on it, but it's a good bike. So they couldn't find a coil for it, so he ordered me some Screaming Eagle plug wires for it. And as I was talking with him, I was telling him what's going on. He said, you know what, you got to look at the intake rubber gaskets wear out on those. And maybe, you can kind of spray in there if you're getting the throttle going up and down where the high idle, maybe that's the problem. So I was like, all right. So I came home and took off the cover. And what I found out was on the throttle body, there's this little O-ring that goes around the back of the throttle body. Well, that was bad, but the screw was gone on the bottom of the throttle body. What had happened was the bike has 25,000 original miles on it, but what had happened was over time, those screws had backed out because the bike vibrates like crazy. And when you've seen a Harley, they vibrate hard. And must be going down that dirt road, that screw finally backed out enough that it fell out. And it was sucking air. So that's why we were getting the high idle on it. Well, go to Harley to try to find an O-ring for the back of the throttle body is impossible. You cannot find one anywhere for it. So I went around town to see if I could find an O-ring that matched it. But the guy at the Harley shop, who was just amazing at helping me, great customer service, he gave me the part number of the kit that it comes in, the ring and the screws, because I had to find a screw to also replace that. And I'll show you here just in a minute what I'm talking about. So we found the kit. I found the kit on eBay. Someone had it on eBay, so I ordered the kit. It just got here this week. I got the plug wires, so I got everything I can do to put this bike back together so we can go riding, because it's beautiful out. And of course, it's supposed to rain all next week. Watch me get the bike running and I can't ride it. So anyways, let me show you what I'm talking about. So here's the throttle body, and I've taken all this apart. And on the back side, if you can see, there's a little ring that goes in that little O-ring that sits in this here, and there's two screws. There's a top screw and the bottom screw that holds that in. Well, that bottom screw had backed right out, and it was just sucking air. So I had to get that in there. Now, the funny thing is, this is going to be hard to do, and hopefully I can get this so you can see it here, is this is a torque head screw that goes in there. Now, there's how much room it's going to get around there. So I've got to find, I got to go look at Harbor Freight and see if they have a wrench that I can get to a torque head wrench that has like an L on it there that can go around. Also, I gotta find, this is an emission for California emissions, and the rubber has rotted right out. So that was probably sucking some air too. So I've got to find a cap to put on there that will fit that, so I can get that put together. And I do have the plug wires. There's the coil. And it's not fun taking this whole gas tank apart, because there's this thing that leaks gas that goes across from the back. So you have to suck all the gas out of there. So anyways, this is where I'm at, and I got to get some carb cleaner because I want to clean out all that in there. I'm about cleaning things and clean out the flapper and just get it kind of cleaned up here. And then we'll put all this back together. But also down in here, if you can see, there's an O-ring on the intakes on each side, that part there and over here. And he says those are what go bad on it, but they look pretty good. But I am going to research and see if I can't find the O-rings for those, because I imagine I won't be able to find those either. I don't know why they don't support these and keep these going. It's just a 2002 Road King. I don't know, just because if it's a, Screaming Eagle edition, if that's why it's so hard to get the parts for it, or, or if you guys watch these, if I have any guys who ride bikes and know more about bikes than I do, if you have a place that I can get some better parts for this, I'd appreciate the advice on where to get some parts, because it seems like everything I order is getting harder and harder to find parts for this bike. And I really love this bike a lot, and so I would appreciate it. All right, let's get to taking this, putting it back together then. Okay, what I did was I got the gasket, the O-ring in. I put a little silicone on there just to hold it in while I tried to mount it up to the intake. Because when I did, the rubber kept falling out as soon as I turned it. So just a little tiny dab just to hold it in there. So I'm going to put that on there, and I'm going to go and get a wrench and put that on. It's a torque head, number 4. So I'll get that on there. All right. All right, so I got the screws. I'm going to put a little thread locker on them, just so they don't vibrate loose again. I don't want this happening again in another 25,000 miles. I don't think I'll ever see this bike reach 25,000 miles in my lifetime. I baby it too much. Alrighty. Well, I had to come through here and I got this bottom bolt. But this top bolt, let me show you. Because of the intake, I can't get the socket to fit through there to get that sucker. And I don't want to take off that intake, but it looks like I'm going to have to take that off of there to get to it. All right, let me see here. Looks like I'm going to take that off there to get there. So let me see what I can do. Okay, I got it. I got the screwdriver to go through the end on the other side. Barely fit, but I got it. Okay, so now we got to put all this stuff back on here. So, all right, so we've got all that on there nice and tight. And what I did for this emissions, I couldn't find the same cap. So I found this gray one, and I took the original one that was on there was dry rotted a little bit. So I shoved this other one over, then zip tied it on there. I'm still going to research, see if I can't find something to fit that, a cap somewhere, as I looked everywhere at my local hardware stores and stuff. So, but we got everything tightened on there. Throttle works good. So we should be good to go. What I'm going to do now is these little screws, there's a plastic cover and they go in here. I think they're like they just let some air through there. So I'm just going to clean those out, make sure they're not plugged, because this had some oil right here. Make sure she's on there nice and tight. Then I'll put the air breather on. But before that, I'm just going to clean these chrome heads up a little bit while I got it all tore apart. And then we got to change the spark plugs. And then we'll put some get the gas tank hooked back up and fire this baby up and see if we fixed her. So you got to make sure you get those little hoses in the back holes here when you're putting this on. So that's probably the toughest part about putting this air filter back on. So let me get that back on, and we'll go the rest of the way. So here's the original wire. Came on the bike, or just, they're Harley Davidson wires. You can see they're a lot skinnier compared to these thicker ones that I got that are Screaming Eagles. So that should work a lot better, I'm hoping. Get us a better spark and stuff on there. What a difference in thickness. All right, so I won't be able to reuse that clamp to hold the other plug because this wire is too thick to fit in it. So let's get this plug wire ran. Got the plug wires ran up in there, and I zip tied them right up in there, and they run so they're nice and clean. So we should be good to go. Let's get this gas tank mounted. All right, so now we're just putting the tank back on. Put these little star bolts right here. I got to tighten up this fuel line that goes across the back. And I got to put a bolt here on the seat. I got a couple of wires that broke that I got to fix there. Then we'll get some gas in the tank and see how it goes from there. All right, just finishing up the valve cover, or the air breather cover. Get my fingerprints off it. All right. Okay, so let's get some gas in it and see if she'll fire up. Okay, so we got the gas tank back on. We got gas in there. We tightened up the clamps, new plugs, new wires. Got everything on the carb side done. She's in neutral. See if she fires up. I gotta get the fuel system primed. There she goes. She wants to come. problems with this. You can hear it misfiring. So watch what happens. I'm going to spray some carb cleaner back here by the air intakes. Hear it rev up, sucking air. So it's sucking air in the back. So I got to change those. They're shot. All right. Another project. Okay, I'm going to show you how to check that engine code because that engine light was flashing when it was running. So you hold in the reset button, you turn the bike on, give it a second, and then these codes will come on. Let's see if I can get them on there. So there's the code. You flip through here, push the button, and it gets you through the 9 or 10 codes, and they all say clear, right? So that's what I'm assuming that means, is that those codes are all clear. So it's not throwing any codes. You click the last, and it gives you this PPU code, which is 82883. Now, the 82883 code is for a speedometer. And usually it means that the speedometer pickup wire is not registering correctly and the speedometer will go to 0. That's happened to this bike. I took the wire out of the out of the spot where it goes in the transmission, cleared the end of it off because I was researching it on the internet. They said to try that sometimes. I did that. The speedometer works great now. I'm not having a problem with the speedometer wire bouncing around or anything like that. I did order another wire, but you got to tear the whole bike apart to replace that wire. So it hasn't been giving me a problem, but the code still is in the system. I don't know how to clear it out of there with this button, or if you need a handheld to clear. So I don't understand why the engine light's flashing. Now, maybe it's flashing because of that misfire. I'm assuming that's why it's firing, or it's flashing that code. But you would think on a car when it does that, it throws a code. Maybe Harley's not enough to throw a code. I'm not sure. I haven't really driven it a lot with that light flashing. I drove it maybe 6 miles home the day it started. So if anyone out there on interwebs can give me a little hint on how to figure these codes out, or if I need a scanner, I'll order a scanner for it. I don't know. So any advice, if you can throw it in the comments, I'd appreciate it. Got to figure this girl out. So, but we do know for sure after testing with the carburetor cleaner that it is the air intake screwing up. So we're got to replace those. Hopefully that fixes it. If not, then I don't know where to go after that. So, all right, guys. Well, I think I narrowed it down. Like I said, I'm not the greatest mechanic in the world. I just troubleshoot and just wrench on things, and some of the stuff comes out, some of it doesn't. That's why we call it Jimmy rigged. But I think it's my intake gaskets. Why the engine code's throwing, I don't know. I know what that one old engine code in there is stored for. I don't know why the engine's flashing and why it's not giving me a code. If someone out there on the intrawebs can fill me in on that, I'd appreciate it. I'd really like to get this thing back together and ride in it again. So please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. And again, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. And we'll catch you on the next one. I'll order the parts out. As soon as I get it in, we'll see how we do at taking the intakes apart. My hands are big, and that's a small area to get in there. So wish me luck. If anyone got any tips on how to take that out really quick and easy, I'd appreciate that too. Thanks again. Take care.